All right, Facebook friends and family out there. This is the first edition of Friday's Financial Facts. I'm supposed to deliver a bunch of tips and tricks for you. Before we get into the good stuff, I want to tell you just a real quick tip of mine personally, and then also a real quick a trick. So the first tip that I want to give you that's unfinancially related is don't stare at the sun too long. And the real quick trick is, hold on just a minute. You've got a quarter in your ear, and there's about 75 cents left. So we're gonna get the rest of that at the end here. All right, so let's get into the real stuff. There is a lot of security risk, and I could spend a day really talking about it, but I want to really hit some high-level things. The things I want to talk about this morning and the tips is the items that you will not have to go back to your IT departments for. You should just be savvy in this area. These things should just make sense to you. And the first thing that comes to mind, the first tip, is passwords. We all struggle with passwords, and because of that, the main thing is just the complexity. So if I were to say to somebody today, I need you to come up with a password that is 20 characters long, a lot of you would probably struggle to do that. What we need to start to realize is that the strength of a password doesn't, just because it's hard to hack, does not equal hard to remember. So there is an easy way or an easy approach to generating passwords that have 20, 25 characters long. And when you get to 15 to 20 characters long, you're talking years with software, years of time that it would take somebody in an automated fashion to actually hack that password. Also, it's a little bit becoming a little dated to think that we have to generate passwords with special characters, uppercase, lowercase. There are going to be programs out there. If you go out and you sign up for Netflix or anything else such as out there that requires a password, they may still traditionally hold you accountable to put those unique characters in there. And we're going to talk about how you can do that a little bit. But let me just tell you that for the standpoint of the length of the password, come up with a phrase like, I drive a big truck, or come up with 3, maybe 4 things that mean something to you, words. So like, for example, something that would mean something to me would be the word halo, the word sailor, and the word homesick. Now you may be able to deduce where I'm coming up with those words, but if you put commas between halo, comma, sailor, comma, homesick, you've already got a 20-character password. Easy to remember, nearly impossible to hack. So that's an easy thing to do. You can either come up with individual words, or you can come up with a comment, if you will. And if there's a system that says, hey, you've got to have a unique character at the end, then put an exclamation mark at the end. If it needs uppercase, lowercase, make everything lowercase, and just the top character of halo, the first character of halo, make that uppercase. If you need a special character in the word sailor, change your I to an exclamation mark as well. So now the next thing on passwords is tools. So we talk about all these passwords out here, and one of the things that we all struggle with is everybody wants us to have a unique password. We're not supposed to duplicate them in any one of our particular systems. There are a lot of tools out there, and they call them lockers, password lockers or password vaults. You can Google that. You'll get a barrage of unique tools that are out there. My encouragement to you is stick with the free. There are plenty of paid services out there, but the beauty of it is the free ones work just fine. The paid ones will give you additional benefits that you can store additional information, or they'll do some cool things in the back end. But really, for the average person that just needs a place to consolidate their passwords so that they can get to with a unique password, they're generally free. So I'm not going to recommend any one particular one. There are some great ones out there. Do your own homework. Now, the reason that I talk about the unique passwords is because pretty much every site wants you to have a unique password, or at least that's a recommended practice. And many of us are going, how am I going to do that? Because there's so many to remember. But keep in mind that if you use the same password in multiple places, if that password in any one location, so if your username is your first initial last name at gmail.com, and that's always your username, which is fine, but if you have that same password for Facebook and Netflix and all these various sites that you use, if that password gets hacked, now not only do they have access to Facebook, and Netflix, but everywhere else that you use that unique password. So, although I know I'm asking a lot of you to consider a unique password for every location that you use, keep in mind, if you do use a unique password, if it gets hacked, you're only being hacked in one spot, one password, one place that you have to go to say Twitter is an example where you have to go in and change that password there and there only. So that's why. A lot of work up front perhaps, but on the back end, it'll save you a lot of time. Hey, real quick, before we go on to the second tip, I just wanted to ask everybody to go out there, smash that like button. Kayla and her team out there doing a ton of stuff, hard work. I don't know why they picked me first, but we'll see how it goes. But go out there and smash that like, and we're gonna ask them for some comments out there at the end, and I'm gonna take some questions for you. You don't have to ask questions, because I probably won't have the answer, but if you wanna ask it anyway, I'll do my best. All right, so the second tip then is the email. Huge risk out there. Email is still one of those things, mainly from a business standpoint, that corporations deal with. The way Land of Lincoln has been handling it is we do member education, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that at the end on how we're educating our members with security. But we also do a lot of internal education, and I would encourage anybody that is either leading a company or in this business or just part of the organizational culture, go back and challenge your IT area or your managers on what they do for literacy around this. We've had great success with those initiatives. There are a lot of scams out there, and I'm going to go into an example of one real quick. It kind of ebbs and flows with Microsoft. So what we're seeing is some emails that are coming, what looks like it's a spoofed email from Microsoft. And Microsoft essentially is saying, hey, it looks like your computer's been breached. Go out, contact us, and we'll help you through those various steps. What I can promise you is unless you're Bill Gates, Microsoft is not going to contact you. They won't call you. They won't send you emails. And if you're getting those kinds of correspondences, they 99.9%, and I can almost say 100%, will not be legit, especially if they're asking you to contact them. So what you want to do in those situations, and let me give you an example first of what we're kind of seeing happening with those scams. You get the email, says call me, you've been breached, you call the number, you get somebody on the phone, and while they're talking to you and empathizing with you and saying, yes, we'll help you through this, and don't, even though they sent the email, don't do anything with that email. They'll come in, and while they're talking to you, and you're giving them access to your computer, which is a very easy thing to do, once they have you over on the phone, what they're doing in the back end of your computer is they're going in and locking your files. So they really like files that have names like pictures, because they know that that's the thing that hits closest to home for most people. You have your family photo albums out there, you back up your phones and all those things out there to a common file called pictures. They will lock that folder. That's called ransomware, if you hear that term. And what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, we know who has locked that. They're estimating that they want $1,000 to unlock that file. I'll tell you what, we'll do it right now. We'll get it accomplished for only $100. Guess what? They're the ones that locked it. They're the ones that made up the fake $1,000, but you're still going to give them $100 to unlock it. They may or they may not. Point is it's ransomware. Avoid it. So the best thing you can do, hit that delete, get it out of your delete box, and move forward. So also just real quick, the last thing on emails, if you're receiving emails even from friends that you know, don't assume that that email address was not spoofed. That is a very real possibility, especially if you see content coming from somebody that you know, but the request or the information in the body of the email seems odd. Pick up the phone, call them, say, hey, Kayla, you sent me this email. Is this legit? No, I didn't send that. Now I'm gonna help Kayla and say, looks like you've been hacked because I got an email from you. So another just tip on that, if the content just seems like something you would not traditionally have. All right, the tip 3, internet browsing. We all love to do it. We all get drawn into it, but my tip there would be have a purpose. If you're going out to the internet to browse, go there for a reason. Don't get caught up in the minutia of what the next thing is you may want to look at. there are legit sites, and I'm gonna ask Kayla to step around here just real quick. There are legit sites, and what happens with the legit sites?
I'm coming.
Okay. What happens with the legit sites, and I'm gonna pull this one up right here. This is a legit site. They run ads on the side here. The problem isn't with the legit site. The problem is with the ads. Now, two things, unfortunately. If you click on this ad because it's something that seems appealing to you, it could have a virus embedded in this ad. So what that means is if you click on it, it could launch the virus and it will run in the background and you won't even know it, you won't see it, you won't be prompted for anything. It'll just start happening and you're done. There are some very advanced viruses out there right now that even if I just went to this website and this ad happened to be there, simply by me going to the legit site, I've now launched my virus. So not much you can do about those situations. Generally speaking, you'll see a lot of publications, a lot of information around that. If that happens, you'll just have to kind of know, hey, I went to that particular site and I need to take whatever the next actions are to make sure I get that cleaned up. All right, so one of the last things we're going to talk about then is just software updates. There's a big conversation out there right now as far as should I, on my iPhone or on my Android, should I go out there and should I sign up for automatic updates? I'm not going to tell you to make a decision because I know there's two schools of thought. I'm only going to educate you on the schools. So do I set up automatic updates or don't I? Here's the thing to take away from it. The risk of not having automatic updates is the security aspect of it. Most of the time the updates are out there for bug fixes, security breaches, things like that the providers are trying to tighten up. If you don't, that's the don't. If you do the updates, sometimes if you do them, we've seen where if you do them the day they come out, sometimes there are problems with the releases that the organizations release to you. They're buggy or things don't get worked out. And I've even seen it to where the bug fix will create a higher risk of additional bugs or new bugs. So for me, if anybody's asking me, I go ahead and say I'm going to go ahead and do the updates on from an automatic standpoint because I just want to alleviate any sort of those concerns. But again, if I've missed it for the day or it didn't automatically update for whatever reason, and then I read something in the news that says this patch has caused more problems, then I'll go out and kind of turn off that automatic update for the time. Okay, last tip, and then we'll let you get back to your day. Just want to go out here and give a plug to Land of Lincoln. Many of you that are going out there may or may not notice right here next to where the online banking is, we've got a security tab. And what I want everybody to do, go right now, well, at least after this podcast, I want you to go out and hit this security button. This is for the membership. This is where I was telling you that Land of Lincoln comes in and is actually educating our members. This service is out here. We update this 2-3 times a day. There's all this news and alerts that have relevant topics. You don't have to be techie. It's presented to you at a very elementary level. You go out there and read the content. Also, you'll notice right here, hopefully, that's okay. You notice right here, and this is what I want you to take away from it. Go out here and hit this sign up for news and articles. And when you do, simply put in your email address and create a verification phrase, and you will get a weekly update of the articles that have been published. So if you don't have an opportunity to go out there every day and read the articles, sign up for the weekly alert. You'll get an email and it'll be a summary and you'll be able to click on the various topics there.
Awesome.
So that's all I had, tips and tricks. I hope that was valuable. I'm going to take any comments or questions that may or may not have come up.
The only thing I see on here, Toby, is Anita and Katie talked about just not being too gullible online. Another good tip,
yeah.
Which is smart. One thing you've told us before, Toby, that I think is good advice too, when people click on a site and they don't know if it's bad or not, you've told us before that if it takes a long time and it's spinning, usually it's loading things that are bad.
Could
right?
be loading things in the background. Also, always look for it in your URL or where you're typing the website address. Especially if you're going to something where it's going to require a purchase, you should always be told in green. You'll see at the top that it's a secure link. So always look for that. It is required by an organization to have that. to make purchases. And also just hover above it. Put your LLCU.org in and hover above it. If it doesn't come back with LLCU.org and it hovers and something else pops up and says it's this weird link, sign off as quickly as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Anybody else have any questions on there? Thanks y'all for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Hey, and one last thing. Think before you click.
That's right. Thanks, Toby.
You bet.
Bye.